What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. I'm your host, Dwight Vick, and today we have an outstanding, a legendary guest, one of my favorite coaches, a guy that had an impact on me, even though I didn't technically play for him. I did do shot put one year. I have the great and legendary Coach Hamilton on our show today, the former legendary track and field coach at Hampton High. How you doing, Coach? How's everything going?
Everything's going fine. I'm doing well. I don't have any complaints. And so all is well, happy, enjoying this retirement time.
Yes, and it's a well-deserved retirement. This is an honor for me. I've interviewed a lot of guys on this show. I started the Legacy Spotlight when COVID hit in March, and we've had everybody on here from Marcus Hagans, Ahmad Hawkins, Damon Bako, Tony Rutland, Elton Brown, so many guys from Kickerton, college coaches, therapists, cancer survivors. So the Legacy Spotlight is highlighting people I admire, other people admire and respect. So this is an honor to have you on. Coach, before we get into your great start and your great run at Hampton High and all the great players you coach, I didn't know, I was a young man at Hampton High, along with all the guys I mentioned that attended Hampton High. We knew about how great you were around sports and coaching kids and teaching and mentoring kids. But before you became that coach, not too many guys my age or younger know your story as yourself as an athlete, a young man. Let's go back to where you from, where were you raised, and what did you play? Who influenced you? Let's go back to when you all got started for you.
Well, we have to go back a long way back in the 60s. I went to Lucy Addison High School in Roanoke, Virginia. And I first started in organized sports in my 10th grade year as a JV basketball player. And the coach, Coach Brown, who was the coach of the JV, he asked me to come out for football. I wasn't that big, still ain't big, but he asked me to come out for football. So I thought I would give it a try. And that fall, I went out for the football team. And the first couple of games, I didn't get in. I got in very sparingly, didn't get much activity. In the third game of the year, after that game I played, I thought I should have played more. I was back in the locker room crying, and the coach said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Coach, I thought I should be playing more." I said, "But I tell you what, from this day forward, you will play me, or you won't have any players left for to be played." Because I was playing defense, and I was a linebacker. I said, "I'm going to take out everything you got," because we practice hitting every day. And from that week, I got a chance to start playing linebacker. And my whole junior year, I played linebacker and on the football team, and made second team All-State. And in the Virginia, that wasn't the Virginia High School League then. It was the I can't think of the name of it now, but that's when it was all black because it was segregated then. So
Yes,
wasn't no integrated schools.
Mm-hmm.
And the next year I played, I was a backup center. I played starting offensive guard on the football team. And I still played with the starting defense linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a very successful career there, but my taking was my best was I played a little, I was on the bench with basketball, but wasn't that much. I had an outstanding career in track and field. I was a half miler, quarter miler in track and field. And Coach Major Wells, he's still living, still gives me a call, and we chat today. Got me to come out as a junior, and I started running track. And he ended up leaving, going up to Fairfax County my senior year, but he encouraged me to stay and with the new coach, Mr. Fulford. And I had a real good year. I placed in the state meet in the mile, and ran ankle legs on my mile relay and sprint medley relays. And Coach William Bennett at Virginia State said he'd give me a scholarship. At that time, I didn't know what's a scholarship. So what's a scholarship? And but before then, somebody said, man, you might could get a scholarship. And that's when I really said, what's a scholarship? They pay you, you go run track or play football. You don't have to pay no money to go to school. So in my junior year, I said, that's what I'm going to do, because I knew my mother didn't have any money to send me to college. So I said, okay, I'm gonna give me a track scholarship. And fortunate enough, Coach Bennett, William Bennett at Virginia State offered me a track scholarship, and I went to Virginia State, had an outstanding career. At that time, I broke all of the distance records that was at Virginia State during my 4 years there. I broke all of the records from 1,000 meters indoors up to a mile outdoors, the same thing, 800 meters, the mile, the 2 mile, all of that. I broke all of those school records that had been there for years by the time I left there. So I had a very outstanding career in track and field at Virginia State, and that's what paid my way to go to college. And I fell in love with track right then. So during at the end of my college career, I had to do student teaching, and I put in to do student teaching down here because my sister lived in Hampton, so I would have somewhere to stay. So I got my student teaching job at Lindsay. I was at Lindsay when they opened Lindsay. That was the first year opening Lindsay. I was there, not as a job, but as a student teacher. And I had six weeks of student teaching. I did my student teaching, and opening came up in the physical education department, and they offered me a job. And I started teaching there in the fall of 1969. And at that time, I was assistant track coach at Lindsay, helping out with the track team. And that spring, job opening came at Hampton High School, and they are looking for a track coach. So I applied, and I got the job. I started in 1969. I had the cross country indoor and outdoor teams, and that's how my coaching career got started in Hampton, Virginia.
That's crazy. Because I only know what I know when I got to Hampton in the '90s, man, and I never knew until I started doing my research and talking to my friend, your son Marcus, and just doing the due diligence on your career and everything. And it's like amazing. You've seen that environment, that whole culture change. Coach, I do want to talk because it's not just about sports; it's about legacy and the impact. My parents went to HBCUs, and it's a little bit different for guys like myself and Myron Newsom and all the guys that came after us. You guys paved the way, allowing us to be able to go to the UVAs, the Marylands, the Virginia Techs. But you went to, Virginia State, and my mom went to Hampton University. How was your time at Virginia State? Just talking about, because now we're being reminded that HBCUs are just as excellent and they have the same resources, and you can get a great education. How was it for you as far as just the environment and your time at Virginia State?
Well, being that I came from a segregated situation, Virginia State was a very good environment for me. I wasn't used to being around a lot of white people. I had to make that adjustment when I did my student teaching. I had been used to, I didn't go to school with white kids, and all the time in college, growing up, we didn't play with white kids because that was doing real segregation time at that time in the late 50s and early 60s. So Virginia State was outstanding for me. And I tell all the kids who bickering about what school should they go to, you got to go to a school that's best for you. And you're not going to get anything out of any college. You go to Howard, you go to Harvard and you don't do nothing, they're going to kick you out. You go to Norfolk State, Virginia State, any of the historical black colleges, you don't do nothing, they still going to kick you out. And you go there and do what you're supposed to be. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief. You can be anything you want. We got doctors, we got lawyers, we got outstanding people who graduated from historically black colleges. So it's what you put into it is what you get out. Now of course, when you come down to what they can offer you today, they can offer you the white college can offer you a lot of good facilities and all of that. But I guess on like football, a higher level of football. But track and field is a level sport. If I run 10 flat at Virginia State, 10 flat at Virginia State is the same as running 10 flat at Penn State. Doesn't make any difference. As long as the track is equal, the clocks are certified, 10 state is 10 state. 10 seconds is 10 seconds. If I run 9-9, whatever. It's more of it's an equalized sport. Now, when you're talking about your big time sports like basketball or football, sure, it's today. it's your advantage to go to the larger schools if it's suited for your personality and suited for what you can handle in the environment outside of the sport. Because just because you go to a big school, you may not can handle the other parts of the school of the school besides just the sports. So it was good. It was good, and I still recommend. I have sent some of my kids who ran track for me. They went on scholarships to Virginia State. They graduated from Virginia State. They went on into education into some other fields. So it's all about what you do. You know, I had a young man, Steve Riddick. If you know of Steve Riddick, he made the 1976 Olympics, won a gold medal. He went to Norfolk State, and I didn't try to advise him to go anywhere else because I knew he couldn't handle some of those other environments. Like I would tell coaches, some coaches would call me from VMI and ask me about a kid, and if I knew the kid, and I did, I would say, look, the kid is an outstanding athlete. He's great. He would do an outstanding job for your program. But let me tell you, he can't handle that environment at VMI. And I know the harassment that you're gonna get during your freshman year. They taking you through that rat line and all that. I knew those guys, if those boys got up in their face and started screaming and hollering at them and shoving them, they were gonna fire off on them, and then they were gonna be kicked out of school. So I would tell a kid, no, I'm not gonna recommend you to VMI because you don't have the personality. You got the skill level to do the sport, but you don't have the personality. You can't handle it.
No.
And that goes a long way in being successful in any environment. You got to be able to handle the environment other than also your work or your sport.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. And, you know, just hearing you talk brings back memories to my 4 years at Hampton High because of all the coaches I've been around. And during your time at Hampton, you're talking about the great Coach Brower, the great Coach Smith, and the great Coach Hamilton yourself. You might be the most honest one. not to say the other two weren't. It's just that I just remember you being very direct. And another thing I remember about you is your mental toughness and the mental toughness that your track runners had. Because as a kid, you know, in middle school, before I met you in high school, you would hear older guys talk about, oh, that's Coach Hamilton. You would be known and seen running around the entire city of Hampton. Just running. You remember that? And then
oh yeah,
just talk about that, like your love to run.
Well, you see, growing up, we didn't have cars in our family and all that. But anyway, like I said, I got started in sports running track, and I branched off into football a little bit, but track was my love. And so I ran 4 years in college. And when I finished college, I still wanted to run. So I started competing on the AAU levels and won some local state AAU championships and like that. And I just wanted to run. So I ran from 1969 to, I guess it was 2000, maybe 2 or 3. During that time, I only missed 1 full month of no running where I'd been in a car accident and had a concussion and I couldn't run. Other than that time, I ran 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week. It didn't get too cold. It didn't get too hot. I've run in 95, 96, 70-degree weather. I've also run in the snow early in the morning, 5 o'clock every morning. Every morning I was out my door going to make my run. And I would run no less than 5 miles on each run. And there are plenty of times I would do 10, 15-mile runs because I just love running. And it cost me because it ended up, I don't know if it ended up, I got 2 artificial hips. I had to have my hips replaced.
Wow.
Because they got wore out, I guess, from all that pounding. And I used to tell my guys, you know, don't come with me with no excuses. The excuses are tools of the weak and incompetence. They be a monuments of nothing, and people who use them are seldom capable of anything else. So don't tell me, if you lose a race, don't tell me, Coach, I could have run faster, but I don't want to hear it. If you could have run faster, you should have run faster, but you didn't win the race.
No question.
I don't want to hear it.
No question.
And I tried to instill in them that if you want anything that you want, anything you desire, you got to put hard work into it. You want to be good, you got to work at it. It's not going to be given to you. You got the God-gift talent, but you got to be willing to work and develop that talent. And it was more or less not so much just for track, but it was also to instill in them a good work ethic. So when they left me or left college or whatever, got out in life, they had to realize that, you know, ain't nothing wrong with working hard. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You get rewarded for hard work. So be willing to pay the price. You ain't willing to pay the price, stay at home. Don't come out there wasting my time. That was simple as that. And they knew it. Don't waste my time. I got all the time in the world for you, but you can't waste my time.
No question. Well, so Coach, and it was shown in your ability to, you know, inspire your players, because your team, your track runners were phenomenal. Your era was just as golden as the football program. And let's talk about that, because you talk about you became, you know, you got into Hampton High in 1969, and then you took over coaching. Was it cross country?
I had cross country, indoor and outdoor when I started.
Okay. So is it true, just confirm for our viewers, according to the record, you were Hampton High's first ever Black coach?
Yep. As a matter of fact, in the city of Hampton, I was for the integrated school system, I was the first Black coach for a major sport. If you call track and field, basketball, and football the major sports of the major sports, and I definitely was the first Black coach at Hampton High School. When I went to Hampton High School, we didn't have 250 Black kids at Hampton High School. We had maybe 10 Black faculty members on the staff.
Wow.
And so it was, like I said, now I'm coming into an environment I used to being around other people. So I had to get used to them and make adjustments for myself, because I hadn't been used to dealing with them.
Was it hard? Was it hard, Coach?
No, it wasn't hard. All you got to do is show respect and demand respect. That's all you got to do. Show respect and demand respect. If they let you know, you let them know what you all about, they'll respect it. It's just like right now, I'm doing a whole lot of, I do a lot of cycling on my bike. But when I first started cycling, we go into group rides, and both basically looking at it, I've been on group rides where 38 guys be riding, and I may be one or two Black guys on the ride. Well, when I first started riding, you go get in the groups, and they kind of like standoffish on you. They don't say nothing. They're not disrespectful, but they trying to wonder about you. Can you ride? Can you hang? Once you go out there and show them you got good bike, you wear a nice kit, which they call the clothing that you ride when you ride, and you can hang with the ride, guess what? You get all the respect in the world, and they start inviting you to their ride. Look, Coach, can you come ride? Look, we having a ride somewhere. Why don't you come there? But you got to get their respect. Once you get their respect, hey, you're good to go. And that's the same thing, when I went to Hampton High School. Once they found out, I wasn't going to take no bunch of junk, and I was going to be for real with them in regards to the situation. That was it. Wasn't no problem.
Yeah. So when you take over, and was it an immediate success, or how did it go? How did that happen?
It all depends on what you call success. Now, if I try to validate my success on state championships, team state championship, hey, then I can say I wasn't successful, because I never did win a team championship. I won several. Well, as a matter of fact, I have a state record for the most 400-meter mile relay state championship in the history of the Virginia High School League. I have that record, So, but I measure my success by how many kids have I helped? How many kids come back at 2 years later, 3 years later, and say, thank you, Coach. You were beneficial to me. How many kids? I had a kid come back to me when he graduated and said, Coach, I want to thank you, because I'm going to tell you what, if you hadn't been here, I would have never graduated from high school. That's more to me than any championship that I could have won. So I had success. Like I said, I can look back, and unless somebody asked me, I never tell them. Steve Ridley, when I went to Steve Ridley was a senior when I got there. And Steve, everybody talking about, we got this guy here, he's fast, his name's Steve Ridley, and I introduced myself to him. I said, I heard you the fastest guy in the school. He laughed. He said, yeah, Coach, I am. I said, but you know what? I don't care about you being the fastest guy in the school. I want you to be the fastest guy in the state of Virginia. What you want to do? And he laughed. And from that point on, you know, and he started talking about, you know, I said, you thought about going to college? And he said, Coach, I got 13 kids in my family. I can't go to college. I said, son, what you doing on this track? You can go to college. And we took it from that. And the rest became history. Went on to Norfolk State. He went to Norfolk State. He ended up having an outstanding career there, went into international competition. He made 2 Olympic teams. He got a gold medal. And today, me and him are still very good friends and very close. But, you know, and I got other kids who, they didn't win Olympics, but they went on to be very successful in life because of the experience. And they tell me because of the experience they had with me through track and field. What they learned through track and field carried over into their life to make them a better person. That's success to me.
Yeah,
Not how many state championships. So when kids come back into town, they come by to see me. They give me a call. Coach, I'm in town. Can I come by and holler at you? Yeah, come on by. You know, that's success.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's what I wanted to ask you about. That's why we're doing a legacy spotlight, because you're very well respected, considered a legend because of the impact you had off the track and on the track. And when you look at Hampton High, you mentioned state championships. It is very well known, obviously, with the football program, you know, especially in its heyday, state championships and regional championships. And you had Coach Brower before he retired. You had the state championships and the regional championships. But track and field is right there as far as productivity. It never bothered you, or you were fine with the other sports being successful. You still had a program. You embraced that. That never ever affected you in how you coach and how you built your programs. Because some of your players played not, if not one, sometimes played all 3 sports.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had kids. I would encourage my kids, especially the speed kids. Look, man, if I knew he had the personality and makeup, look, man, you ought to go out there and try for football. You know, go ahead and play football. And you see me when the football season over, we get started indoor and we go from there. I encourage. I've never looked at their success as what they did to try what they did on the field. I never was envious of the other programs there because I had my success. Like I said, you know, I had relay teams that were ranked nationally in the country. Went to the Penn Relays and we won an event at the Penn Relays and got a plaque. And I had the opportunity to coach my son in track and field, and he did something I wouldn't do. He took over. He ended up being coach over there and stuff, and he won a state championship with the girls track team, and he played second in the state with the girls track team. So, you know, I've never been envious of the other programs. As a matter of fact, anything that I could do, if I saw an athlete that was good one way or the other, I would say, hey, look, Coach so-and-so, this kid right here, he got a little speed. Maybe you need to look at him, you know, take a look at him. I encourage my kids to participate in other sports while they were there because I want them to be well-rounded, and if they had something to offer, give it up.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you a tough question here, and I always ask my coaches this. Because of all the time you were at Hampton and all the great players, it's funny because I was going to ask about that 4x1 team. You coached some dynamic athletes. Who stands out to you? Was it Chris Ricks, Ahmad Hawkins, Sean Hamlet? I mean, again, because you've been there since the late 60s. I mean, you're not going to be able to remember everybody, but when you think about men and women, because I didn't even get to the ladies you coached, the great Alicia Tucker. Alicia Tucker. I mean, you coach some Hall of Fame athletes. When you think about your time, that golden era, especially the late 80s, 90s, 2000s, who comes to mind? What 4x1, 400? I mean, are there some people? I told you it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Who do you remember?
I need Marcus here with me, my son, because he remembers those relay teams. Well, you know, my first state championship team for 4x4 was up in William and Murray in 1976. I had Art Jones. I had what's the kid? Musline George. I had I can't remember the other 2 kids that were on there. And right now they're probably Newkirk. Newkirk was one, and Wallace Payne. They made up my 4x4 that won the first. And at that time when they won it, and it's still the state record for the 1 mile relay, not the 400 4x400, but the mile relay. That's still the state record.
Mm.
They won the first state meet for me. And then I go indoors and I win the state meet up there, and in the state meet it happened in, I think, 1980 some or 90 some. Anyway, we broke the state meet record indoors. We became the first team to run under 320 in the mile relay, and that was a relay team that 319.5, and to this date, no other team in Virginia in the state meet has run under 320 in a mile relay indoors to this date. And that was a good group of kids. We also, on that same day, we became the second team in the state to run under 7 minutes in the 4x8 relay. We ran 7:58 indoors, and we lost. We got second place. So we became the second team to ever run under 8 minutes in that meet. And that was Jason Ward, Jeremy Ward, Jeremy Ward, and I'm trying to think because I don't want to call the wrong names, but
it's okay. I mean, even though they know, that's why I said
they know who. If
they know, and when they watch this, they're gonna remember, and that's the whole point.
They'll know who was on. They'll know who was on that team that we ran 319, and we have some meet records that's still standing in Tennessee. We went to Tennessee. We ran 126 something in the 4x2 relay, and that's still standing. And we ran 314.8, and if I'm not mistaken, that's still standing at the University of Tennessee high school meet. And so we had success, and we had some good teams that ran well, and the kids enjoyed it. And I had a kid named Alfonso Mitchell. Alfonso Mitchell came in from California. He won a state meet for me. I had he ran 152.5 for 800 meters. He won a state meet. And a kid named Dale, he's a white kid named Dale, can't think of his last name now. He went to VMI. First year went to VMI, he ended up having to drop out and go to a prep school. And he went on to VMI to become great, outstanding. He was a long jumper, triple jumper, hurdler. He did everything for me. And he did the same thing at VMI. Dale Davis, it'll come back. See, Dale Davis. Outstanding kid. He won a state meet for me in the high jump. McGlone, not Paul McGlone, but Joe McGlone. Joe McGlone, a 6'11" high jumper. He did very well. So it's hard. I don't want to disservice.
It's okay. No. That's why I said.
And then, like I say, I can't. I will never forget the one that went on to the big time. Steve Reddick. I won't forget that one. That went on to the big times and did a lot of very good things at Norfolk State internationally. He became a well-respected international coach, and coached the girl that won the 400 meters from the Bahamas in the Olympics. He coached her. But I always remember that incident with him. That was a great experience with him.
And I know, Coach, that was a tough question because that just goes to show you how many great and standout performers you had under your tutelage, and that's just an amazing feat. And yet, we didn't name not even half of the people you coached, men and women.
You can remember some of the guys like Ahmad Hawkins. Ahmad was primary football player, but he did outstanding. He was an outstanding sprinter for me. He was a good sprinter for me. Walter Ford.
Walter Ford.
Walter Ford. I begged Walter Ford for 3 years. I said, Coach. He said, Coach, I'm just too lazy. I can't handle it. Y'all work too hard. I can't lazy. So then he come to me as senior year and he says to me, Coach, he run indoors now. He came to me in the beginning of the spring. Coach, I want to run track. I said, Walter, get out of my face, man. You don't want to run. He said, get out of my face. Yes, I do, Coach. Yes, I do. I'm gonna tell you, Coach. If you let me run, I promise you I won't miss no practice, and I'll do anything you want. Well, Walter Ford, I said, come on, Walter Ford. I never want to give a kid turn him down. So Walter came on out there. Walter Ford ended up getting second, ran 10.5 for 100 meters, getting second. But the big thing for me for Walter Ford was back, he led my mile relay team. That was a coincidence in that his daddy, Clifton Purd, who ran for Mitchville, was the big ankle leg that we beat in 1976 for my first state championship. Walter Ford ran the leadoff leg for my 4x4 in 1980, 88, 89, no, yeah, 87, I think it was. But anyway, he ran the leadoff leg, and his daddy came to me and said, "Coach, you got me with Walter John. We got me with Otmo. Well, and now you come and get me with my son." And I laughed. we hooked up against her again. This time we hooked up against Mitchville, just like we did in 1976. It was us or Mitchville who was going to win the state championship. And Walter Ford bust them. And he said, you got me with Arthur Jones in 76. Now you come back and get me with my son. And we had a big laugh about it. You know? So these kind of things. And then there was another kid. I'm not gonna forget him name. Handy, Lavelle Handy, 206. He was back in 206. First year Handy came out to me. Handy was messing around. So I said, "Handy, go home. I told you, don't waste my time." I sent Handy home. Sent him home. He came back. He came back and became one of the outstanding athletes that I ever coached. Ended up going to George Mason on a scholarship. And Handy helped me win. I had won a regional a district championship in a long time. He came to me that year, 206, I think it was. He said, "Coach," at the beginning, he said, "We're going to win the Indo State Championship." I said, "Handy, get out of here, man. We don't have enough." He said, "Yes, well, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to win the hurdles. I'm going to win the high jump. I'm going to win the long jump. And I'm going to win the triple jump. And I'm going to run on the relay." He did every bit of what he said. Every bit of what he said. He became 40. He holds the school record in the long jump. He holds the school record in the triple jump, 48 something and 23 something. He holds all those records, and I became an outstanding hurdler. So, you know, he was another one, and went on to had a very good career. Became a 50-foot triple jumper at George Mason. Was a very good career. Voted the CA, which that conference that George Mason is in, CIA conference. He was voted the athlete of the meet, athlete of the year and stuff, and athlete of the meet for George Mason. So, you know, those are the type of kids that I remember. And then I remember kids that they just came in and gave me a lot of hard work. They weren't that successful, but they came to practice every day. Every day they were there working hard, and at the end they come back and they thank me for the work that I had them to do and the hard work. And I remember, well, I told you I got in an accident. Well, I got in a car accident and was knocked unconscious and all that stuff. And I didn't know that one of the attendants on the ambulance was one of my former athletes. He had gone on to school, and became a paramedic and stuff. And then one of my kids came back from the military. He had been in the military, had been successful and stuff. Come back and said, "Coach, you know what? When I went in the Army, those guys in there screaming and hollering and all that. And they were upsetting a lot of the guys." I looked at them and I said, "Y'all ain't doing nothing. I heard all this before."
Coach Hamilton.
He said, "Coach Ham, I heard that's all you used to do is holler at us. It ain't bothered me, just rolled off my back." So he said, you know, and that helped me. I got through that. I did that with a breeze. So those are the type of things, man, that was, you know, really, really positive for me in working with the kids and trying to help them to be better people, not just better athletes. The athletics only gonna last for a short period of time, because Father Time has not lost a battle yet, has not lost a race.
Never will.
I don't care how good you are, but Father Time gonna win the
Never
race
will.
in the end.
Yes, never lose it.
They keep talking about Tom Brady and Drew Brees and all this and what they doing at 41 and all. Man, you get to the point where your body, your mind start cashing checks, writing checks that your body can't cash. You think you moving, you not moving.
You're not.
You think you throwing the ball hard, you ain't throwing it hard. I never forget my first year. I mean, not my first year. My first year, my son went off to. He got a scholarship and went to JMU. I used to take him out. We would run together, and we run 200s together and stuff. And I used to have to slow up, wait on him. He came back that first year. We went out on a run, and I'm running his little pace, and we stepped on him. Next thing I know, I'm a little bit behind him. I'm a little bit more behind. I'm a little bit more behind. Next thing I know, he out of sight. He ain't never changed the pace. He ain't never changed the pace. I just kept slowing down. But in my mind, I thought I was still doing the same pace. Nah, you don't lose the father time.
Well, you know, Coach, man, you're right. And you talk about athletes and the pride you see. As you know, I'm older now. I'm married, have 3 kids. My wife, you'd be happy to know, during her time, she was a standout track runner in Northern Virginia. Went to the same high school as Kim Graham, a great Olympian. And our children, before they went into other sports, my youngest, she's 10. She runs track and she specializes in the 400. Very good 400 runner and the 200. But I look at the athletes and I look at, you know, how I learned more about track marrying my wife, excuse me, than I did when I was in high school, so I pay attention to it more. When you look at today's track runners and today's athlete, and given your perspective and your years of coaching and experience observing the game, not just with track, but in football and basketball, would you say that the athletes are different mentally now? Like how you talked about how you could coach and say the things you said in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and 2000s. Do you think they're different now, or it's just the same old thing as far as?
Well, looking at the kids in this area, that one of the reasons I got out, I went on and retired because I was debating whether I should get out or not. One of the reasons I got out is because I wanted it more for them than they wanted it for themselves. You know, I tell them, look, you need to get in and start doing, especially my half miles and stuff like that. So get up in the morning, do a little what I call a wake up run. Run down the road 20 minutes, turn around and come back. Yeah. They ain't want to do nothing like that to get better. Today's kids, the workouts that we used to do with the Maud Hawkins and those kids like that, I couldn't put those same workouts on those guys that I had towards the end of my career. They couldn't take it. They'd be crying and moaning. And they couldn't take it. So, in a sense, the kids, they get started younger and they develop earlier. But I don't know how much mental toughness was developed or is developed early in those kids. Some of them, see, a lot of times when you're young, you're bigger than the average kid in your age group. You're a little bit stronger, and for that group, for time being, you may just be genetically just faster. You're not willing to work, so you don't learn. You win everything, so you don't learn the value of having to work to win. So when you run up and get to the next level, and you see the same thing happen in football, where they can't adjust to the next level because they never had to work to get better. So when they get into an environment where now I got to be putting in extra work, I got to work harder at what I'm doing, I got to be more proficient in what I'm doing, they ain't willing to do it. They ain't willing to do it because everything came so easy to them. Sometimes athleticism can be a curse to some kids when they don't know how to use it. They get used to winning easy without paying the price. And when they run into adversity and they can no longer win without having to work to win, they shrivel up. They can't handle it. They can't handle it.
Yeah. Coach, when you talk about your son and the maturation process for him, and I know you love your family, how does it feel? It's a 2-part question. How does it feel seeing him win and take on and carry on your legacy But also, the second part of that question is, do you meddle? Do you try to coach him? Or do you just, you know what, this is your time? Or does he seek your advice? So how does that feel? And does he come to you
Well,
for advice?
well, I was very happy when he decided that he wanted to start coaching, and he went in it wholeheartedly. He went in. He gave it his all. He went into it wholeheartedly. And unless he asked me to help him with something, I never meddled in it at all, because he became a student of the game. He became well read. He utilized all the experiences he had had in college. He utilized the experiences that he had had under me. He utilized from networking and talking with other coaches. He created his own philosophy, and it was a good philosophy, and it worked. And he turned out some very outstanding kids, young ladies that ended up going to school, getting scholarships and doing very well for themselves. So no, unless he asked me, like I said, I was a half miler and coached most of the runners when I first started. Then I fell in love with, once I got handy, I fell in love with triple jumping, and we had some success in that. And unless he would come and say, look, Dad, I got this girl, she want to be a triple jumper. Can you come out and do some drills with her? And unless he did that, I didn't bother.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bother.
Yeah.
Sometime I would say, look, son, you need to back off a little bit, or you need to relax a little bit. You're going there too. And that wasn't so much about his kid, but how much time he was investing in himself and his expectations. I say, you got to remember, I don't care whether they're junior, senior, freshman, they are still kids, and kids make mistakes.
But does he get that passion?
Kids make mistakes.
But does he get that passion from you? Does he get that passion from you?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see myself in him a whole lot. My younger self, right? I don't see my older self. I see my younger self, and that's another thing. That's when I realized to get out. I realized I wasn't willing to give of myself the way I used to give myself to the kids. I wasn't willing to give my time, the little extra thing that I wasn't really interested in seeking out all of the track meets that I could take them to and all this kind of stuff, and working with them extra overtime and after the practice, going over stuff. And I realized I didn't have that energy anymore. The energy for that was gone. So it was time for me to move on and let somebody else give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I think all coaches have to realize when their time is up. They stayed too long.
Yep.
When you get to the point you're not willing to do what you did when you was 21, 22, and 23 years old with your kid, it's time to get out. You got old now. It's time to get up. Go ahead and go.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go.
Yeah.
So I was very proud of the work that he accomplished with his kids, and he still does a little coaching on the side with some kids, and he was well respected in the coaching community, and he did some, like I say, did some things that I didn't do.
Yeah, yeah. And Coach, speaking of that, I do want to ask you, we only have a few more questions left, but I definitely want to ask you this, because you speak of your son, and I'm very blessed. The older I get, the more I appreciate my mother and father, the life lessons, the conversations, the times they humbled me. You have the blessed perspective that you've been on this earth for a while, and you've seen so much from your days of Roanoke to when I was growing up, and I was around you talking to us. You always mentored anybody in the hallway. You saw the incarceration of guys like Allen Iverson and other tragedies in Hampton and Newport News and in the Hampton Roads community. Given the culture and the environment that we're living in now, with racial profiling being on the rise, it's always been there. The issues with social injustice, you have a unique perspective. What is your thoughts if you were talking to, a group of young men, because you've always been an advisor, a coach, a teacher, a mentor? How would you tell, or what would you tell young men now, not so much about what not to do and what to do, but how to keep hope and keep the faith and stay resilient with all the different things we're dealing with right now?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is you gotta prepare yourself for whatever is out there in front of you. And you don't ever know what that is. And one of the ways to prepare yourself, you gotta get an education. Go to school, get all the education you can get. And don't believe that nothing is going to be given to you. Be willing to work for it and get educated. And whatever you do, participate. I look at things going. When I was around when they had the first demonstrations and marches with the Martin Luther King and all of that, and I saw how it went about, and change came about. But in the end, we're kind of like the been into a full circle. We right back to almost some of the same things that was going on then, but they were more open with it and out with it. Now it's a little bit more subversive. Don't think just because things seem to be so idealistic for you that that's the way it really is. Mm-hmm. Because it's not always, the picture's not always that rosy. And we just been seeing some of it with the social injustices that we've been seeing going on. And until we are willing to come together as a group of people, come together and work together against those who are working against us, go to the polls and vote. You don't like what the police is doing, get a new police chief, get a new mayor, get a new attorney general. How you get them? You vote them out. You get rid of them. Walking and demonstrating and all that, that's fine. But the only way you gonna make any real moves is in that ballot. Mm-hmm. Get them out through the ballot. Get the people in there and get them out. Mm-hmm. And start having some pride in yourself. Don't go to school creating problems for your teachers. Go to school to learn. Don't go to school to be in a social environment. And that's what I used to preach to my runners. I said, look, where do you sit in the classroom? I said, look, if I walk by that classroom, I want to see you within the first 3 rows. I want to see you within the first 3 rows paying attention. Don't be sitting in the back room, because whether it's right or wrong, teachers are human and they have a perspective. They have a perspective about people sitting in the back. You either don't know none, don't want to know none, or go a troublemaker. So mm-hmm. Don't sit in the back of the room. Sit up in the front. Participate in what's going on. Participate in the learning. And you better not let me come by there and see you with your head down on the desk. Don't. We got something to deal with when you come to practice. So, we got to get involved in self-improvement. We got to get involved in self-improvement. Mm. And don't be surprised by nothing that's going on. It's just coming back out in the open. Because when I was growing up, I wasn't surprised by nothing. They think they're surprised. They don't know what it is to go shopping with your parents, and you go downtown and you want to get a drink of water. You go to the water fountain and they say, your mama said, no, you can't drink out that fountain. Why, mama? That's white only. We got to go over here. You got to go to the bathroom. You can't go in that bathroom. I don't care how bad. We got to go to the other end of the store. You better hold it till we get there, because that's a white only bathroom. They don't know what it is to get on a train or on a bus. And when you get there, particularly, we used to ride the train in Philadelphia all the time. They had cars to the left, cars to the right. Everybody, all black people, they didn't call us black, then they call us Negro. You go to the right. Other people go to the left. They don't understand that when we used to travel, you had to carry all your food and everything in a bag, because wasn't no such thing as stopping at no McDonald's and this place to eat. If it was a place to eat, you couldn't go in there and eat, because they let you know right quick, we don't serve in here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see, but they think it's so bad now. It's been bad all the time. It's just a bad different. It's a different bad. Yeah. It has been bad all the time. Yeah. It's been bad all the time. My daddy worked for the Norfolk and Western Railroad. He was a crane operator. But guess what? Because he was black, he didn't have the title or the pay of a crane operator. He was labeled a laborer. So he was paid as a laborer, wages, but he did the work of a crane operator. Yeah. This stuff been going on all along. I mean, what you're seeing now is new to them, because they ain't been exposed to it. To me, I look at some of this stuff going on and say, well, here it come back again. Same old, same old. The Ku Klux Klan now, Ku Klux Klan back then, they walked around in their white robes and had torches in their hand and burned crosses and stuff. The Ku Klux Klan now, they sitting in the Senate on the GOP. They sitting on the Supreme Court justices. They sitting up in front of you when you break the law and you go in front of them. They the judge that you dealing with. He ain't in no white robe. He in a black robe. Now but his ideology is gonna be pronounced on you when he hand down those sentences. He see you not as a human being. He see you as something less. So therefore, you gonna get the harshest sentence that I can give you, because his mindset is still there. Just the only thing changed was the robe that he used to wear. See, they don't see discrimination the way discrimination come along now. It's more subtle. It's around the corner, but they still discriminate against it. So don't be too upset. Be prepared for it. Get educated so they can't discriminate against you. Educate yourself. Don't let it happen. And just like right now, every eligible black person in this country need to show up on November the 3rd somewhere and vote to get rid of what we got sitting up there in the White House right now. Go and vote this thing out of office, because if you don't, he come back another 4 years, he really gonna be the dictator.
Yeah.
He's halfway there now, changing everything. So young people, go and participate in the process of change, other than looting, rioting, and screaming and hollering. That's all. That serves a purpose to a certain extent. Then it's time to get off that bandwagon and do it the way Muhammad Gandhi did it for India, peaceful. Martin Luther King did it for us in the 60s, peaceful. The peaceful revolutions get more accomplished than what they're trying to do right now with this violent stuff, because they use it against you. See, I told you that's what was going to happen. But when you do it peaceful, they can't say nothing but feel guilt about how they treat you. Because when they hit you with sticks and things, you still tell them, I love you. You ain't hurting me. When they sicken the dogs on you like they did back there with Martin Luther King, now they didn't get sticks and things and try to beat the dogs out. They just said, we still love you, but what we're gonna get what we want. We're gonna get it peaceful.
Yeah.
That's what we need, right?
Yeah. Well, Coach, man, I knew I was gonna get the honesty. I told you, you're the most honest coach I've ever been around. I do want to end it. We end the show with every guest. I allow them to give their final thoughts on their legacy so far, their career, their perspective they have. I'm going to ask you, Coach Hamilton. You're an educator, you're a teacher, husband, a father, just a very, very legendary person. In your own words, what has your career taught you as a man, and what are you grateful for?
Well, what has it taught me as a man? It has taught me that, as I always keep going back to, as long as you work hard, be honest, show respect, you be rewarded. Always a reward is not always coming to you the way you think it's gonna come. And as I tell my son all the time, remember one thing: the short way home is not always the best way home. Don't look for the easy way all the time. Don't look for a roundabout way, because the short way home is not always the best way home. And right now, my big legacy that I leave behind is the 2 little grandsons that I got that's showing me some of my veracity, some of my stubbornness, and I'm looking at them now, even some of my athleticism. My little 3-year-old son and my 3-year-old grandson and my 6-year-old grandson, they are wide open. They are alpha males, and that's my legacy. I just hope I can be around to see them become teenagers and get involved at a higher level of athletics. And of course, I want to see them be very successful in school and make something of themselves that whether it's athletics, music, or whatever it is, that if I could wake up, I'll be proud of it, because my other legacy is that I enjoy. I established a base with my former athletes, and they come back and they show honor to me by always paying me a visit when they can, calling, checking on me, and we share some good times together.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Coach Hamilton. This has been a blessing to me, man. I'm glad Marcus reached out. I still remember a lot of conversations we had up in the gym. When you saw us in the hallway messing around, you would hit us with knowledge and check us, and you were farther away from home. And a lot of men that will see this interview feel the same way I did. And I can't wait to air it, and I can't wait for the guys, because I know it's going to be well received. You're a great man, Coach, and I appreciate you jumping on. All right.
But Vic, I want to thank you for the opportunity, man. I was surprised when Marcus was talking about it, and I want to thank you for that opportunity to do a little reflection. I wish my memory was a little bit better, but that comes along with the times.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. But it's been a blessing. But for everybody that supports Vicktory Life and everybody that supports Coach Hamilton, on behalf of great Coach Hamilton and his family, I want to thank everybody for checking out this interview. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact and you leave a great legacy. Thank you, Coach Hamilton, and thank you everybody for supporting Vicktory Life.